Report that outlines a balanced and comprehensive approach to dealing with the role of nuclear weapons in America's national security. I'm pleased to have Secretary Clinton and Secretary Chu joining us to make this announcement. Their presence is indicative of the importance of the issues and the significant interagency cooperation that the review enjoyed. Both Secretaries Clinton and Chu, as well as Admiral Mullen, will make brief comments in a moment. And then we'll take 3 or 4 questions limited to the NPR and start. The NPR provides a roadmap for implementing President Obama's agenda for reducing nuclear risks to the United States, our allies and partners, and the international community. This review describes how the United States will reduce the role and numbers of nuclear weapons with a long-term goal of a nuclear-free world. Driven by the changing nature of the security environment, the NPR focuses on 5 key objectives. First, preventing nuclear proliferation and terrorism. Second, reducing the role of U.S. nuclear weapons in the U.S. national security strategy. Third, maintaining strategic deterrence and stability at reduced nuclear force levels. Fourth, strengthening regional deterrence and reassuring U.S. allies and partners. And finally, sustaining a safe, secure, and effective nuclear arsenal. To these ends, the NPR includes significant changes to the U.S. nuclear posture. New declaratory policies remove some of the calculated ambiguity in previous U.S. declaratory policy. If a non-nuclear weapons state is in compliance with the Non-Proliferation Treaty and its obligations, the U.S. pledges not to use or threaten to use nuclear weapons against it. If any state eligible for this assurance were to use chemical or biological weapons against the United States or its allies or partners, it would face the prospect of a devastating conventional military response. Still, given the catastrophic potential of biological weapons and the rapid pace of biotechnology development, the United States reserves the right to make any adjustment to this policy that may be warranted by the evolution and proliferation of biological weapons. The review rightly places the prevention of nuclear terrorism and proliferation at the top of the U.S. nuclear policy agenda. Given al-Qaeda's continued quest for nuclear weapons, Iran's ongoing nuclear efforts, and North Korea's proliferation, this focus is appropriate and indeed an essential change from previous reviews. The NPR concluded that stable deterrence can be maintained while reducing U.S. strategic nuclear vehicles by approximately 50% from START 1 levels, a finding that drove negotiations for the New START treaty with Russia. The United States will pursue high-level bilateral dialogues on strategic stability with both Russia and China that are aimed at fostering more stable, resilient, and transparent strategic relationships. This NPR determined that the United States will not develop new nuclear warheads. Programs to extend the lives of warheads will use only nuclear components based on previously tested designs and will not support new military missions or provide for new military capabilities. We will study options for ensuring the safety, security, and reliability of nuclear warheads on a case-by-case basis. In any decision to proceed to engineering development, we will give strong preference to options for refurbishment or reuse. Replacement of any nuclear components, if absolutely necessary, would require specific presidential approval. Correspondingly, the United States must make much-needed investments to rebuild our aging nuclear infrastructure, both facilities and personnel. I have asked for nearly $5 billion to be transferred from the Department of Defense to the Department of Energy over the next several years to improve our nuclear infrastructure and support a credible modernization program. There are also areas of continuity in this report. Among them, first, the United States will continue to hold accountable any state, terrorist group, or other non-state actor that supports or enables terrorist efforts to obtain or use weapons of mass destruction, whether by facilitating, financing, or providing expertise or safe haven for such efforts. Second, we will maintain the nuclear triad of ICBMs, nuclear-capable aircraft, and ballistic missile submarines. Third, we will continue to develop and improve non-nuclear capabilities, including regional missile defenses, to strengthen deterrence and reduce the role of nuclear weapons in our overall defense posture. And finally, the United States will continue abiding by its pledge not to conduct nuclear testing. This NPR, while led by the Department of Defense, was from beginning to end an interagency effort. And I want to express my appreciation for the contributions from all departments, but especially the leadership of Secretary Clinton and Secretary Chu. In closing, I'd like to thank the men and women at the Departments of Defense and Energy, including the national labs, who are critical to sustaining our nuclear arsenal. Their important work underwrites the security of the United States as well as that of our partners and allies. Secretary Clinton.
Thank you very much, Secretary Gates. And let me begin by thanking you for your leadership in this effort and for the collaboration that persisted throughout it. The nuclear posture review we are releasing today represents a milestone in the transformation of our nuclear forces and the way in which we approach nuclear issues. We are recalibrating our priorities to prevent nuclear proliferation and nuclear terrorism. And we are reducing the role and number of weapons in our arsenal while maintaining a safe, secure, and effective deterrent to protect our nation, allies, and partners. This NPR provides a foundation on which we and our allies can build a more secure future. This review is important not only for what it says, but also the way in which it was conducted. I believe it is the first unclassified NPR in its totality. Secretary Gates is responsible for making this the most inclusive nuclear posture review in history. Admiral Mullen, the Joint Chiefs, have been instrumental in working through a lot of the issues that have been raised. The Department of Energy has brought its expertise to the table, and I'm very proud of the role that the State Department played in helping to set the policy, and we'll be working with our allies and partners to explain it and implement it. So it truly was a collaborative effort in keeping with the agenda and goals set by President Obama. The consultations that supported this process included more than 30 of our allies and partners. For generations, the United States' nuclear deterrent has helped prevent proliferation by providing our non-nuclear allies in NATO, the Pacific, and elsewhere with reassurance and security. The policies outlined in this review allow us to continue that stabilizing role. This NPR also makes it clear we will cooperate with partners worldwide to prevent nuclear proliferation and nuclear terrorism. Under President Obama's leadership, we've worked to advance that agenda, beginning with last year's UN Security Council Summit and the President's speech in Prague. Thursday, the President will be back in Prague to sign a historic new START treaty with Russia. And next week, President Obama will host more than 40 heads of state and government to tackle the most dangerous threat we face today, the threat of nuclear terrorism. This nuclear posture review provides the strategic basis for all of these efforts, and it demonstrates our commitment to making progress toward disarmament under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. We are enforcing our commitment to the NPT by stating clearly for the first time that the United States will not use or threaten to use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon states that are party to the NPT and in compliance with their non-proliferation obligations. We believe that this is an important step, and it will help reinvigorate the global non-proliferation regime, especially as we approach the NPT review conference next month. So let me thank Secretary Gates, Secretary Chu, and Admiral Mullen. And also you'll be hearing from 4 of the experts who worked on this so hard, from the State Department under Secretary Ellen Tauscher, from the Energy Department, Tom D'Agostino, from the Defense Department, Jim Miller, and also from the Joint Chiefs, General Cartwright. And I would just want to thank everyone who helped work on this, because as Secretary Gates said, it took a lot of meetings, it took a lot of efforts, but we believe that this represents the best interests for the United States, our partners and allies around the world.
Well, let me begin by first thanking Secretary Gates, Secretary Clinton, and Admiral Mullen. As was said before, while the Defense Department led the effort. This was a truly multi-agency review that reflected the important expertise of the State Department, the Energy Department, as well as the Department of Defense. This report reflects the administration's understanding that the effort to reduce nuclear dangers will require an all-out government approach. And it also reflects the President's commitment to addressing these issues in a way that improves security for the American people, our friends and allies around the world. As the President said in Prague, we will sustain a safe, secure, effective nuclear arsenal as long as nuclear weapons exist. This nuclear posture review reflects the commitment and puts the nation on a path to providing the resources required to make that possible. It defines specific steps to strengthen the global nonproliferation regime and accelerate the securing of nuclear materials worldwide. The NPR is based on several key principles that will